These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Monday, October 31st. Happy Halloween, everybody. Or you guys will hear this on November 1st, but it's Halloween for us, so I'll say it anyways. Before we get into the Celtics, I did have a story from today that I will piss Sam off on two different levels. So I thought I'd share. So I went to get my Dunkin' today. Obviously did my drive-through thing. That's not the part that's going to annoy you, but I got up to the window. It's the Dunkin' I go to every day, and the lady we'll use the word unpleasant, not exactly the easiest person to deal with. So first she says, "You got this and this, right?" I'm like, I think so. And then she hands me the wrong order. I'm like, "Nope, that's not it. I think I see mine over there." And so she gives me the correct order, doesn't hand me my food. I said I had food too. She hands me the food and walks away. Didn't give me a piece of my order, but me being the non-confrontational person I am, I just drive away. I'm like, it's not worth my time. And I proceeded to drive to a different Dunkin' Donuts, which is like, I mean, it's Massachusetts. It was like 2 minutes away, and got the rest of my food. That was the first part that I thought would annoy you, because I assume you would just tell them that they forgot something. And I usually
I had like this. You don't have to be mean about it.
Too. No. I usually do too. But if it didn't take her 3 different tries to get me the rest of my order, then I would have like said it. But I was sick of it at that point.
Was it busy?
You know what? No. I mean, I think there was like 1 or 2 cars behind me, but it's like I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. It just wasn't worth.
Well, I'm trying to think if there's any reason for them screwing up.
No, they're just like I said, this specific worker is just unpleasant, and I didn't feel like
unpleasant. Why? What happened? You must have
I'm using
story.
Unpleasant. Well, no, it's just like they're one of those people that doesn't really talk. They'll just hand you the order, say, "Here you go," and like walk away. There's no hi, there's no nothing. It's just like here, and it's consistently whenever my order is wrong or the wrong thing or they forget something, it is this person that hands it to me. You know, I'm like, I remember. Also, I'll apologize in advance. There are probably trick-or-treaters coming to my house, so if you hear dogs barking in the back, that's because people are knocking at my door. But anyway,
nobody trick-or-treats at my house.
That's unfortunate. I don't mind trick-or-treating.
We never have people come here. We don't have candy. If someone rings my doorbell right now, I don't know what to
do. we don't get a ton, but we get a little. But the second part of my story that was going to annoy you. You want to know what I went to the second Dunkin' Donuts to get because they forgot it?
What? A jelly donut.
A jelly donut. Yep.
So what else did you get?
I get a coffee. I still live at home for the time being.
Who doesn't?
So exactly. So I got a coffee for me. I got one for my mom for when she comes home from work, and then I get 2 bacon, egg, and cheese wake up wraps, and then my jelly donut, and that's my breakfast / lunch because I don't wake up early enough. So it's like my both, I suppose. And then my coffee, which I didn't actually finish, which is right here. And Sam's going to hate it again because it's a hot coffee.
I don't know how you can get something like that and not finish it. Well, a hot coffee I get because you have to go a little bit slower. But like me, if I get an iced coffee, like I rip through it. Me and my friend
I just got distracted.
We went out this weekend. So we had college football Saturday. I get a coffee before I go. We hang out, watch games. We went and got something to eat. And then on the way back, we go and get a coffee at Starbucks. This is after we were at the restaurant waiting for the bill for 25 minutes. And the waitress is just walking around, no problem, is counting tips at the table next to my friend and I. And
of course,
I am an impatient person. Yep. I am one of the most impatient people I know.
Sure, yeah.
However, I was impatient with this for maybe 10 minutes. And then after that, it starts to get funny.
So what'd you do?
Nothing. There becomes a point. One, I was not the one paying. I had paid through Venmo.
Okay, yep.
So I'm not really waiting for my card to get taken or my card to be brought back. And then I'm just sitting there. My friend's getting pissed. And you can tell he's getting pissed. So it's starting to become funnier and funnier to me. And by the time they actually come over, I have this big grin on my face. And because he's just pissed. So anyway, we finally get out of there. We go to the Starbucks on the way home. And we're sitting in the drive-thru there. First of all, for me, ordering at Starbucks is a nightmare because their sizes are different. On the drive, I don't go there often, so I don't really know what I want. So I actually have to look. I can't find on their menu where all their flavors are.
They don't
You know
really
what Dunkin'?
it's weird. Yeah, their
Well, at
flavors are
Dunkin',
weird at
they have all
Starbucks.
these flavors you can get.
Yeah, it's great.
But I mean,
Love
so
Dunkin'.
I sound like I'm brain dead ordering this. My friend orders his coffee. We go to the window. They give me mine. His coffee must have taken another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, this poor guy, he was ready to murder somebody. He waited for the bill, waited for the coffee, and then we finally get them to they come to the window and they're like, "Hey, sorry, we were brewing you a fresh brew and we got grinds in it." So that was the story about why, and
Love
they were
that.
like, so we can't give you what you ordered. Is this okay instead? And he was like, yeah, like whatever. Just get me whatever I want.
So what do you get?
I don't know. He get some different type of hot coffee.
All right, well that's probably enough about drive-throughs for one day. I'm sure Landon, friend of the pregame show, will appreciate it because he missed the I saw his comment, he missed the slipper take on the pregame show, which you guys should check out. Pregame show on How About Them Celtics podcast YouTube channel, 30 minutes before every game. But let's get into some actual Celtics talk because that's probably why, or definitely why, most of you guys are here. Do we want to? We haven't recorded since the Cavaliers game, so we have the Cavs and the Wizards game to go over. Do you want to start with Cavs or start with Wizards?
We'll go in order.
Okay, so Celtics fell to the Cleveland Cavaliers in overtime. They lost 132 to 123. It was a guard show for the Cavaliers, even though Darius Garland was hurt. Karis LeVert, Celtics killer, dropped 41 points, as did Donovan Mitchell, who's having a great season in Cleveland so far. Their bigs also chipped in with solid performances. Jared Allen, Evan Mobley played pretty well. I don't want to say dominated the glass, but they hit the glass pretty hard and hurt the Celtics in that regard. Jayson Tatum had a chance to win it at the end of regulation, but Dean Wade played some great defense. But overall, it was a rough game because the Celtics defense didn't really show up, and there wasn't a lot of consistency on that end for them. They are now 4-2 on the season after the Wizards game, but that game dropped them to 3-2 at the time. What were your takeaways from that Cavs game?
Well, I was pissed. I mean, clearly, you got beat by a pair of guys that usually beat up on you. LeVert, always good against the Celtics, not very good against anybody else. Mitchell, good against everybody, specifically the Celtics, always plays well. It seems like that at least. And then I hate when they blow leads. They blew a lead in this Cavs game. I believe they came back in that Cavs game, built up a lead of their own after starting slow, and then they still managed to blow it. So they didn't even have as much time to blow it, and they managed. It was just bad. They couldn't stop anything, and they were like a wet paper bag. You get right through. Yeah. The rebounding wasn't there. So, obviously Grant's out, right? But, like, even then, you had pieces there. You are used to not having a whole lot of guys that are just dominant on the glass as is. So, with Grant out, the whole team has to rebound, and there you are, giving up offensive board after offensive board when you can't really get a stop in the first place. So you're just making your life far too hard. And it caught up to him. They lost in overtime. Don't have a problem with the Tatum shot at the end of regulation. Some people are pissed. I didn't get it. I thought he was fine. I thought the shot was fine. It's a spot he feels comfortable from. Fine.
Yeah. You didn't have a problem with the Tatum shot. After the game, he talked about it. He said, I was fine with it. I got to my spot. We've seen Tatum make that shot a bunch of times. He made it against RJ Barrett a couple years ago to win the game against the Knicks. He makes that shot in the flow of the game a ton of times. It just missed. And Dean Wade, shout out him. He played good defense on Tatum. He forced him out of the paint. It took a pretty contested shot. But like I said, you want your superstars taking those shots. If I'm the Mavericks, I'd rather Luka take that shot than Spencer Dinwiddie take a shot at the end of regulation. You could argue, oh, maybe you find Jalen there, but Jayson Tatum is the best player on the Celtics. He got to a spot that he's comfortable with and that he can make shots from, and he took the shot. It just didn't fall. So, like I
also
don't really have a problem with it.
Didn't have a problem with no timeout on that either. I didn't want them to call timeout, bringing it up like that. If you do that, especially that in that situation, they only had one timeout, so you're risking the defense forcing you into a 5-second violation. You don't have a safety net. You risk them getting set up and being more ready for you. Granted, the Cavs played good defense, and Tatum missed the shot. Unfortunately, Cornette was not ready. He could have had a nice putback for the win, maybe. Might have been late, but
there wasn't enough time. Yeah, no, I watched the shot. There wasn't enough time, but I know exactly what you're saying. I will say, though, on the same topic, Joe Mazzulla has to use his timeouts. There's just no point in going a game with 2 timeouts left on the board, right? It's like runners left in scoring position. There's no point in not using them, especially when in most of these scenarios, you're laughing at my baseball reference,
It's a
but
little different.
well,
You don't really have a
I know.
choice. You would
I know.
knock in all the runs you could.
My point is, what's the point in not using them? Especially in a game where the other team went on plenty of runs where you could have used them. And even if the team doesn't go on a run, at least give your guys a rest. You're playing them 40 minutes in that Cavs game at least. You got to give them a rest. Al Horford's 36 years old. Give him a rest. Tatum and Brown are going to play the bulk of most games. Give them a rest. Like, I understand wanting to let these guys figure it out, especially early on in the season, but just use the timeouts. like I don't get it. That part I don't understand. That's the only gripe I have with Joe Mazzulla this season.
Yeah, I mean, the timeout thing it's just like obscure. Like, why aren't they being used? And there are
Right?
situations that call for it, especially when you've lost 2 games. Granted, you're 4-2, fine. The 2 games you lost, you blew leads in. And specifically in the Chicago game, you did not call timeout. I don't remember vividly the Cavs game, how frequently he called timeout. I don't remember. But I know when they lost to Chicago and they blew that 19-point lead,
He didn't
it
call
was
one.
quick that they blew the lead and there was no stoppage. It was just kept going.
Yep. Got to use them. That's my thing. I think you got to use them. So it is what it is. He's made it pretty clear that he's, I don't want to say against using timeouts, but his philosophy is let the guys figure it out on their own, which maybe it'll help him in the postseason and that'll be a good thing, but at least give him a rest. That's my thing. At least give him a rest. The defense in the Cavs game was rough. The perimeter defense, especially, I thought was really bad. They were just kind of letting guys get by him willy-nilly. Like the drop coverage wasn't as prevalent. Like they stepped up a little bit, Boston's bigs, but when they did, Mitchell and LeVert would just blow by them. And sure, at the end of the game there, LeVert hit a couple like hands up, what are you going to do shots. But for the most part, it was Boston's defense just not being good enough. And we'll get to it in the Wizards game because they fixed it a little. But that Cavs game, I think, showcased why there have been some concerns about the Celtics defense this year.
And also, you talk about the what are you going to do shots going in. Those shots don't happen or go in unless a guy is feeling confident because he's made the easy ones. So giving LeVert easy looks throughout the game got him to be confident enough and to be feeling it enough to make those shots, but to take them in the first place. You're not going to see him go out and pull a 3 off an offensive rebound in overtime like it's nothing if he's not feeling it. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with you. And
just need to be better. That Cavs team's good. It's solid. They weren't at full strength. They didn't have Darius Garland. He's a big piece for them. He was an all-star last year. You need to be better. You need to be better. Your world's better than that team despite the talent they have. You should have won. You should have won that game on Friday. You didn't. That's a game you dropped easy. Home win you had in the bag. It's not like you didn't have a lead. It's not like you didn't show everyone that you could play against them because you could. I just hate when they blow leads. Nothing makes me more upset than that. And especially you just did it against Chicago. You had 3 days to sit and think about what you did, and you didn't do anything differently. It just was all a mess. Offensive rebounds still plagued you. Yep. Still hurt you late. What's going on? And we talked about it on the pregame, the need to feel as if they need to match every basket Cleveland made.
Yeah, man.
Especially late in overtime. You were tweeting about it. It's your credit, but we got to talk about it. I mean, they're out there pulling threes early in the shot clock just because the Cavs just made one.
Yeah.
How about you get a good look?
I don't get it. I don't get it. You open up overtime. Donovan Mitchell hits a 3. Jaylen Brown immediately waltzes down the court and pulls up for another contested look just to try to match it. It doesn't work. Later in overtime, they're down by 5. Jayson Tatum takes the ball, does his dribble package, takes a contested fadeaway 3. You don't need to, and there was a minute left in the game. You don't need to chip away in chunks. You just need to get good looks at that point, especially at the start of overtime. Donovan Mitchell hits a 3, and then you immediately try to match it with a bad shot. If it goes in, great. It's a good momentum thing, but chances are, with the look JB got, it's not going to go in. You need to look for good shots rather than trying to play hero ball. And I don't want to use that term too much because it's not as bad as it was last year, but it's just those little decisions throughout the course of the game where you try to match a basket, you try to, go one-on-one back and forth with a star in the other team. Just play within the flow of the offense. And I can't remember the exact Joe Mazzulla quote, but it was along the lines of this: you can play well for spurts, but if you don't play well for 48 minutes, then those spurts aren't going to matter. It was something like that. Like, this is what he said. He said you can't get bored with playing the right way, and it's true.
It
That's
seems
exactly
like
what
it
it is.
happens.
Yes, exactly.
You want to talk about it happening? It's a good segue. Yesterday, Sunday, against the Wizards, Celtics played real well, got up 24. What happens? The lead gets back down to single digits. Classic. And there was a stretch in that game, I believe it was the third quarter, where they just were shooting threes, both teams. But the Celtics, literally, it would be 1 past 3, and then that would be it. There'd be no real offense ran, no movement. It was, all right, your turn. You shoot it up, clank. Washington comes down. Oh, they missed 2. All right, you're lucky. Oh, we're going to do it again. Push our luck. And it just wasn't working.
No.
Al Horford made 1 and kind of broke the cold streak.
Yeah.
And then I believe Derek White hit 1 a few possessions later. But like it just felt like they were settling even on some of the ones that were open. Like, there's still a lane. If you're open, you can drive. You can drive. You don't need to take the 3. You don't have it. The whole team doesn't have it. You're watching a lead evaporate. You got to do something to prevent it. And you're just doing the same thing. They get bored playing the right way, but they rarely get bored playing the wrong way. They just keep doing it. Once they get in, they don't get out.
I know you and I have different viewpoints on the whole. If the 3 is open within the flow of the offense, you have to take it. And I agree with that. And I didn't hate some of the shots they got during that run you're talking about. But I also do understand the idea of breaking the momentum. And I think what helps with that and what we saw during the Wizards game is good defense. If you play good defense and don't let the Wizards score or whatever team you're playing score on every possession after you take a 3, then you can take those 3 within the flow of the offense. I mean, Joe Mazzulla had a quote that's probably in your nightmares after the game. He said,
I saw this.
I like 3s. I'm a fan of math. And I know Sam was crying on the inside. Because that's exactly what he doesn't want as you hear a trick or treater.
It's not necessarily right. That's why. Do the percentages tell you something? Yeah, sure. Okay, you can only make 33 threes for every 52s you make and score just about the same amount of points. We had this conversation a while back with John Corrales. The difference is you're only making 33 shots. You're only scoring on 33 possessions. That means there are more misses. You're giving the other team a chance to string baskets together more consistently, get momentum, put runs together. It becomes harder to hit shots when you're under the pressure of a run. We see it all the time. That's why runs happen. You get worse shots when the other team's on a run because you become more desperate. That's why you see the Celtics continue to chuck 3s at times. Just look at the finals. They were minutes from winning game 4 and going up 3-1. They started chucking 3s. Golden State started making baskets, and they settled for 3s because they were trying to break the momentum with a big 3 instead of just getting a basket. Oh, I hate the analytics saying take more 3s. If they're open, fine. And if you're running good offense to get them to go, fine. Early in the game, they were making 3s. It was great. But when they're not going, you need to be able to read it. And it's very tough as a player because you're like, okay, this is a shot I can make, and it's kind of open, and why shouldn't I shoot it? But sometimes within the flow of the game, despite the flow of the offense, it's not the right thing to do. You need to get a more reliable look than that at times. And I feel like not just them, teams all across the league just don't recognize that. I guess the numbers tell you different, but it's frustrating for me when I'm watching them blow a lead or whatever.
Sam knows I disagree to some extent with that because I think for the most part, obviously the hero ball 3s, the contested 3s, the early in the shot clock 3s are not smart. But if you get a 3 within the flow of the offense and you're open, you take it. Like Derek White in the corner, you take it. Al Horford at the top, the key off a Tatum drive, you take it. Sam Hauser, I don't care where the ball is, you take it. Grant Williams in the corner, you take those open 3s. And the reason I am more okay with these 3s this year is because the Celtics have a better personnel who are more equipped to taking those 3s. Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, obviously. especially because more of their threes are coming within the flow of the offense. Like Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown aren't playing as much on the ball with their threes this year. They're less pull-ups and more, drive, kick, get the ball to them in the corner. Marcus Smart is his own person. He's not included in this because he's struggling mightily from three. I still think he needs to take them because the math says it will turn around at some point, and you can't just not take it because then you'll turn into Ben Simmons where they just don't guard you. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the theory. You're muted. You can't just not take the threes. But go ahead. You were saying something there.
Ben Simmons, who's not playing today.
Yes, not playing.
It was better. It was better the first time I said it because you were actually talking about Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for everyone listening. Jack had to stop what he was saying, and then I had a dumb comment. It works. It works when I'm able to do it on time. Mm-hmm. I swear.
But yeah, you have to take them. So teams still have to guard you out there. Marcus Smart will turn around. Horford's I don't know if he's shooting particularly well. I can double check here, but he's a good enough 3-point shooter where you.
Marcus is the only one I've noticed missing a lot.
Yes,
everybody else is like okay, they're doing fine.
Horford shooting 40% from three this year.
So he looks good.
That'll tell you that.
Good for
Eric
him.
White this year is shooting 43.5% from three this year. Sam Hauser is shooting 55.6% from three this year. Grant Williams is shooting 66.7% from three this year. I'm pretty sure Brogdon isn't shooting very well. 38.1. Let me eat my words real quick there. Jayson Tatum shooting 40.8% from three this year. Jaylen Brown shooting 34.1. So he's a little down in the dumps. But in large part, the Celtics have the right personnel to run that sort of offense. They rank last year, Sam. They took a ton of threes last year, right? You remember in the Ime Udoka system. They took a ton of threes. They ranked, they were 9th in 3-point attempts. They attempted 37.1 threes a night, and they shot 35.6%. That percentage ranked 14th. The attempts ranked 9th. This season, they rank, as the numbers load, they rank 3rd in attempts. They're taking 40.5 threes a night, more threes. However, they're shooting 39.9%. They're 3rd in the league in 3-point percentage. That's why I'm more okay with it, because they have a better personnel. Everyone seems to be better equipped to take the threes, and they're getting better threes in the offense. They rank, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're 9th in wide open 3-pointer attempts, which is a defender 6+ feet away. That's a result of good offense. And some of the teams above them are less of a result of good offense and more a result of we don't need to guard that person, i.e. the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are first. You don't really need to guard Lou Dort on the 3-point line. The Lakers are above them, don't really need to guard them. The Spurs, some teams like that. But other teams like the Bucks, like the Jazz, like the Bulls, get open 3-point looks because they have good offense. And that's where I think the Celtics get them. And on those wide open 3-point attempts, they are 5th in the NBA. They shoot 42.6%. So those numbers are the ones I care about. The whole 33 shots for every 52s, whatever. I'm more of, if you get those good looks and generate those good looks, you have to take them because the offense needs to respect you from deep. And like I said, the Celtics have the personnel where it makes sense for them to do that. Which is why I'm big on the 3-point shots I enjoy.
You're not wrong. All those guys can shoot. Everybody except Marcus has had a good year shooting, it seems like. Yeah. And even him, he can shoot. He's just cold. He's a streaky guy. He's been streaky his whole career. He's not going to be Mr. Consistency from beyond the arc. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like there are situations in the game where, yes, it's fine when the offense is creating those looks. I agree. I completely agree. But I think when the threes aren't working and they're not falling, the offense needs to shift.
Sorry, I had to cough. I understand that, and I agree. The Celtics they rank, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which would put them like 22nd in shots in the restricted area per game. They only take around 24.8 shots in the restricted area, but they do shoot 67.8% from there. Which
I hope they do.
It's 7th in the league. That's a really good percentage for them. Exactly. You'd be surprised, man. Some teams.
Oh, I know layups are hard.
The Pistons shoot 55% in the restricted area. That's horrendous.
They beat the Warriors yesterday. How about that?
Yeah, shout out to them. But yeah, the Celtics don't take a ton of shots there. The part I love, which you might not love, the Celtics rank 26th in mid-range. Oh, or sorry, they rank 28th in mid-range shots per game. They only take 7.2 mid-range shots per game. So they don't like that shot. They shoot well on it. They shoot around 46.5% from mid-range, but as Joe Mazzulla would tell you, he likes the threes, and that's where it comes in. They take a lot of 3-point shots. They take a lot of shots from the corner. They're ranked fifth in the fourth in corner 3-point attempts. They take 10 corner threes a game. They shoot 50% on them, which is the second best in the league. And they take a decent amount of above the breaks threes too, but they shoot really well on those as well. So, like I said, it's all about the personnel. You don't have to like the 3-point offense, but when you have players like the Celtics have, which they have like perfected and fine tuned over these past few years, you can afford to do it. A couple years ago, which is when I think Brad Stevens started doing it, and Ime Udoka followed it up with even more threes. You had guys like Dennis Schroeder in the offense at the start of the year. Didn't really fit that. You were forcing guys, excuse me, if you look way back, Shemi Ojale, who didn't really fit the 3-point offense. Now you replace those guys with an improved Grant Williams, a better shooting Derek White, who worked on his shot this summer. Bobby Manning reported on that earlier this offseason. Shout out Bobby, friend of the show. Al Horford, who's shooting a very good clip. Sam Hauser, who's emerging as a piece. Tatum, who's getting better looks. You can afford to run that 3-point offense. That's my opinion, at least. And I know you agree with it to some extent, but you're just not as.
I just think there are times where you need to throw it out the window because it's not working.
Sure.
I have no problem with any of those guys you just mentioned shooting. It's just like when the house is on fire, you need to go, try and put the fire out. Get a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
And very bad, like metaphor
analogy.
For me. I didn't have anything, but what are you going to do?
I understand, but I think they're banking on the fact that they're going to win more games with this strategy than they lose. And there are games where they lose, but I will say the losses they've had so far, I don't blame on the 3-point shooting. I blame on the defense, which is its own issue within and of itself.
But that's not the point. The point, it's not like you have to lock in your offense before the game starts. You can change it if the threes. The only thing I care about is if it's not going down, abandon it, or if you need to stop a run, don't always rely on the threes. That's the only thing I'm saying. I'm not saying they shouldn't shoot threes. I'm not saying that any of those guys that are shooting a high clip shouldn't shoot threes. I'm not saying they shouldn't work to get good looks from three. I just think when the ship's sinking, you got to go find a lifeboat. You can't stay on the ship. There you go. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Metaphor, analogy. Bang.
I understand, but I'm going to come back at you with less. I mean, I would say it's
we're arguing about nothing.
Believe it. No, I know, but my argument is that I understand that you go away from the three in those times of distress, but the three was there. It's not like they shot poorly from three in those games and it wasn't working. The defense was the problem. And even when the defense wasn't the problem, it was all the shots they took outside of the threes that were the problem. You look at the Cleveland game, they shot 39.4% from three and 51% from the field. The offense was great. They just couldn't stop anything. Like they couldn't stop the bleeding at all. I mean, 82 points from Mitchell and Karis LeVert. You're not going to win that game. You're just not. And then in the Bulls game, they shot 37.5% from three, which doesn't sound great, but they shot 37% from the field. So like they shot better from three. They had a better chance of making the shot when they took a three. And the difference is some of the threes they were taking were bad threes. The bad threes are the ones where you get into trouble and you need to find different sources of offense, because if the threes within the offense aren't there, then I completely agree with you. You have to get the ball inside. Hell, take a mid-range shot. You've seen it a couple times this season where Tatum gets contested, he takes a step in, he hits a mid-range. Boom, that's fine. But if the offense is there and you're still getting those good looks from three, I have no problem taking them, even if the other team is on a run. You still take them. You still take them because it's a good offensive shot, and that's what you work to get. The issue is the defense. That's my take. But
fine.
We can't talk about the defense though, because I did think it looked a lot better in that Wizards game. You could tell they were more connected, they were more engaged. Joe Mazzulla said after the game, I don't think it was ever a thing about effort. I just think we weren't executing on that end, and they did execute in that Wizards game. Held Bradley Beal to a terrible game for the field. Porzingis still beat them up a little bit. He looks good, but good defense from Boston.
They're kind of missing the size down low to deal with Porzingis consistently. Like Horford can only do so much. He's getting switched around. The whole defense is based off switching. You're going to end up with mismatches for Porzingis. It is great that they managed to keep Beal from just killing them, because you just got killed by two guards the 2 days before. You got killed by guards earlier in the week against Chicago, also on the glass, but they still played well against you. You need to just ball with that. Awesome. Beal played bad. Great. You live with Porzingis. Fine. Who cares? He's got a sweet new beard, much to Jack's chagrin. But besides that, he's not really doing a lot. He was settling for a lot of threes, too. He didn't shoot very well out there, so that was good. They forced him into those shots. I don't feel like Porzingis got a ton of looks right around the basket, which is also another, good for them on defense, because they're just not letting it be easy. Good. Keep it up. You have Cleveland again Wednesday. Keep the foot on the gas. You have your chance at revenge against them. You have Chicago Friday. This is a big revenge week for the Celtics. You should be undefeated. You blew 2 games. Despite how well those 2 guys on Cleveland played, you still blew it. You're like 15 points or whatever in the second half. I don't care. You should win. You should have beat Chicago. That team's not very good, and you blew a big lead to them. I mean, keep the defense going. Keep it going. It has been a big weakness for the Celtics, and especially with the woes you have rebounding, you need to be able to get stops, because you might have to get more than the average team with all the offensive boards.
Yeah, I agree. The boards were an issue. Porzingis got a lot, but like you said, he didn't get a ton of looks open near the basket. He did try to work the post a little bit, but the Celtics did a good job of slowing him down. And on the Beal thing, one specific guy I did want to shout out a little bit. Sam Hauser played really good defense. Beal went at him time and time again. Sam Hauser did not back down. He played phenomenal defense against Bradley Beal. And that's on top of his great shooting touch, which we can talk about. I just want to talk about Sam Hauser in general for a few minutes, because he has been everything the Celtics wanted him to be and more. I think he is the perfect replacement for Gallinari. And I think there are some valid questions do you even need to bring Gallinari back? And obviously you want to give him a chance to play, because it sucks and you don't want to just trade a guy in an injury. But with how he's playing, I think you got to seriously consider it, because Hauser has been perfect.
Yeah, I mean, he's on the team. There you go. He made it. He proved the point. You don't need to go out and trade for somebody. You don't need to bring in Carmelo Anthony. All the speculation and talk and needed talk. We didn't as fans didn't know what was going on. We didn't know how they were going to handle it. We didn't know who was going to step up. But Hauser's been great. He was always the first choice, I'd say. It was the easiest choice. You don't have to make any moves. You don't have to mess with money, nothing like that. You just signed him to a 3-year deal. You need to get worth out of it, and you're getting it. Fans, you finally got somebody that is a diamond in the rough. You finally got one. You didn't let him walk. It wasn't Max Strus. You can be happy about that. They finally got the guy that they needed. They finally found the guy that was just sitting on the end of the bench and gave him a chance, and it's working. He's playing great. Every time he shoots a 3, I think it's going in. Like you said, his defense yesterday was great, and throughout the season, it's been pretty solid too. He's not really getting cooked. Can you think of any examples where he's really getting beat up on defense? I can't.
No, and teams try to target him. You saw it in the Heat game.
Yeah, I mean, look at this
Wizards game, but he's playing great.
You look at him, you say, that's a free basket. No matter what side of the floor you're on. Usually you're like, all right, you give it to him, it's going in. You go at him, it's going in. But not right now.
No.
He looked great. Those defensive highlights against Washington have been around Twitter. If you haven't seen them, go see them. They're good. He looks like he's moving his feet well. He's not getting tripped up. He's not off balance. Nothing. He just looked comfortable. Good on the team.
Yeah, and then on the offensive side of the ball, what is there to say? Like, he's taking 3 threes a game. He's shooting 55%.
He did try and dunk the other day.
Did he? I missed. Wait, do I remember that?
It was on a fast break, and it was just like him. And I think they were playing Cleveland. I don't remember who was back.
Did he miss?
He just got fouled or blocked. He went up, and it was against Kevin Love. I think he just went at him. And
I remember
it went how you would think it would go.
I remember
he didn't get blocked, but he just didn't get anywhere.
Mm-hmm. I remember because on Twitter, it was an offensive foul, wasn't it? Didn't they call it a charge?
Oh, maybe. Might have been a block.
I remember the debate on Twitter was, I don't know if it was you talking to somebody, but it was like, Hauser should have pulled up from 3 there. And at the same time,
somebody replied, and I was like, yeah, you probably should if you're him. Yeah. Meanwhile, I just spent 5 minutes going back and forth with you about shooting threes. But in that situation with Hauser, I feel like a 3 is better than a layup for him. I trust him more with an open 3 than driving at somebody in the paint. And I don't think he had help.
Yeah, no, and Love, who is notoriously great at drawing fouls. I don't know if that was a offensive foul on Hauser. I'm sure I could find it. There is one turnover he had in that Cleveland game, so I have to assume it was the charge against Love. Yeah, there's an offensive foul. Let's see here. Yeah. Should have pulled up from 3. It was a charge. Kevin Love, who is good at drawing charges. So interior play is not Hauser's forte.
He grabbed a couple rebounds against Washington. He was in there battling. He was playing hard.
He can get in the mix a little bit. But for the most part, stick to the 3-point line where he's been amazing.
He's been
excellent. I don't know if he leads the league in 3-point percentage right now, but
no, because Grant, he doesn't even lead the team.
Oh yeah, league leaders basketball reference. Let's see. Do you want to take a guess? Who do you think leads the league in 3-point percentage right now?
Grant.
Okay. Let's see. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. He does.
All right. Yeah, Sam knows the league. I watch other games.
Yeah. Who's second?
Oh, Jesus.
Sam Hauser is 8th for what it's worth.
He's 8th. Dude, I don't know. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you who's hot on other teams right now. I really couldn't.
I believe the minimum to qualify for the 3-point percentage is like 10 at this point. Kelly Olynyk is second.
Oh, that's right. I should have known that because I saw it on the broadcast yesterday. I'm so mad at myself.
Yeah, he's shooting 64%. Sam Hauser's chilling in 9th. Right behind him in 10th is Mr. Matt Ryan on the Lakers. So there you go.
Well, the Lakers, who are champions now. I don't know if you saw them celebrate yesterday.
Who won? Okay, well that's different. And
nope. It took you six games to get a win. You don't do that.
The Celtics did it for Joe Mazzulla. I don't care
because they won the first game. It's different. If had they won the first, I don't know, within the first 3 games, maybe you do it. After that, it starts to get kind of embarrassing.
Nope, I disagree with you there. Coach's first win, you do it anyways. But we can disagree. It's fine.
Is there another limit of games that you would like? How many would they have to go 0-, however?
Well, I'll put it this way.
Say absolutely not.
I'll put it this way: if Steven Silas started with the Rockets and they went 0-4 to start the season, and they won a game, you do it for Steven Silas, right? Because the team is less expectations. Just like I don't care. Darvin Ham, it's his first win ever as a head coach. I don't have a problem with it. It's whatever. And
but
sure, people are going to clown them.
Some people think are going to be like a real contender. Some people,
no one
not
thinks
me,
that.
not you.
No one thinks that.
There are people that.
And they have LeBron fan in their Twitter ad.
That's right.
No.
But they'll tell you that.
No, I have no problem with it. That's a personal thing rather than a team thing. They're celebrating him because he had an accomplishment. It doesn't matter to me.
You seem upset.
No, I'm not upset. I just don't really have a problem with it because it's his first win. He got his first win as a head coach. That's dope. But I did want to talk about Luke Cornett because he's been pretty good. I mean, he showed why at the start of the season there was some consideration. Oh, will he get in the starting lineup next to Horford? And then he got that ankle sprain, and then Noah Vonleh kind of took his minutes. But in the Cavs game and the Wizards game, he showed up, he played well, and he kind of showed why he was supposed to be above them in the rotation. And I think he will be moving forward. I'm very happy with the way Luke Cornett has played. He had a nice sidestep 3, which was entertaining, but the defense has been there. The offense has been there. He looks like a really good passer. Like he gets in the post and they send doubles at him. At least the Wizards did. And he can find guys in the corner, which is great.
Yeah.
I do wish he would be, this is a weird thing to say out loud, a little bit more aggressive down low. Like take a couple shots, Luke. Like you're 7'2". If you've got a small guy on you, don't look to pass immediately. But I've been very, very happy with Luke Cornett so far.
He made a couple nice dishes out of the paint yesterday. I thought there are situations where he should be more aggressive. I absolutely agree, but he dotted a few guys up, got some good looks for guys in the corner. I think he hit
How many
Grant,
assists did he have against Washington?
Derek White maybe once. He
Yeah,
must have had 3 or 4. He
3 assists against Washington. Love that.
Solid.
Mm-hmm.
Good for him. I mean, there are good parts of his game. Like he's not like a complete bum, but he's your third string center. What do you want out of him? For those of you that are going to be upset and say the guy sucks, fine. Yeah, if you're asking him to be a starter, fine. But that's not what you're asking. You're asking him to come off the bench and not be so bad to where it really hurts the team. That's really
I
it.
agree. I agree, and I said this on the pregame show. I think 15 for 20 minutes is fine for Luke Cornett, and I think he's played well in those minutes. And I'm going to again apologize for the barking dogs because there are trick or treaters at the house.
Who doesn't love like ASMR? You hear the dogs, you feel safe there, looking out for you.
Yeah, true.
Even though I'm a cat person, it horrifies me. But
yeah, that's tough. That's a tough look. But I have a couple more things I want to say. Two are short, one is long. We'll start with the longer one. Malcolm Brogdon's been great. He looks, I guess it doesn't have to be that long, but he's been everything you want to see from Malcolm Brogdon. When the Celtics traded for him, you envisioned him as this playmaker, leading the second unit, organizing the team. And that's exactly what he's done. He had 23 against the Wizards. He's shooting pretty well from 3-point range. I think it's really hard not to be falling in love with Brogdon off the bench right now. 6 man of the year candidate easily.
Brogdon has given you everything you could have asked once you traded for him. When the trade happened late June, this is what you thought you were getting. He doesn't have a heavy workload. He's not being asked to get hit and go to the floor every night and really abuse his body. He's getting good looks. He's good on the drive.
He's been more aggressive.
He's good at creating his shot. He's a decent passer. You can trust him with the ball. And he allows for you to rest both Tatum and Brown at the same time, which is not something last year you could say. Who were you going to put out there to score last season with a team that went to the finals and should have won the finals? You didn't have really a concrete third scorer. You had a third, star, I guess, if you want to count Marcus, because he was playing so well. He was defensive player of the year. Yeah. He was a point guard that was a starter on a championship team, and he really
shot really well in the finals.
Yeah, he played well. I mean, he's fine, and he has nights where he can score. We haven't seen it yet this season. I do kind of wonder if the Brogdon thing is screwing with him a little bit. I hope not. It just seems like he's off, and that's where my mind goes first. But as far as Brogdon goes, he's been excellent. He's coming off the bench. He doesn't seem to be causing any problems. He hasn't made it any kind of story. He said he's fine with coming off the bench, so there's no real controversy there. You don't really hear the media talking about when's it time to move Brogdon into the starting lineup. You just don't hear it because he's really good in the role. And it makes more sense, in my opinion, to keep him on the bench because you need that guy to come in and keep the flow going when either Tatum or Brown or both need to go to the bench and rest.
Yes, I agree. And I'm sorry for coughing in the mic. I thought I was muted and I did not mute myself. So sorry for coughing over Sam there. But yeah, Brogdon's been great off the bench. I don't think he will get moved into the starting lineup because of how well he's playing. And you can play him in the closing lineup anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Sam said it a million times. Starting lineups don't matter as much as closing lineups. And it's a fact. So
nope. You put me out there for the start. Just sub me off.
Last couple things. One short one. Do you think we've seen the end of Noah Vonleh in regular minutes? You don't? Where do you think he'll
Depends
play?
on the matchup. I think it's a matchup thing. I think you're better off playing him against Philadelphia than you are Cornette. I think that was the right thing to do. I think he's probably better suited to play Miami than Cornette is, which he did. He just I trust him more defensively, which is funny to say for a guy that picks up fouls like it's his job. But he's strong enough to battle with these big guys that are really solid players. Like when Denver comes to town in a couple weeks, be on the lookout for Vonleh. You would think Vonleh would have had a big impact against Chicago. He didn't. He picked up a lot of fouls real fast, and it hurt them. Yep. But they come to town again Friday. Cleveland's a matchup for Wednesday when the Celtics head out there. I don't know if he's going to play as much against Cleveland. Didn't work the first time. But against Chicago, I wouldn't be shocked to see a little bit more of Vonleh.
I think it'll be close, him and Cornette, because I think Cornette will be fine against Vooch, but having the extra rebounding, because Cornette's not a great rebounder, will be better for Vonleh.
I just think there are situations that call for different bigs, especially when you have a team like the Celtics where Horford is your best defensive big. I mean, just look at the two guys that are supposed to be the starting bigs, Horford and Rob Williams, and how different they are. Yeah. You can't expect Rob to guard somebody like Embiid, despite Rob really being an all-defensive player. It's not realistic. He's not built for that.
100% agree. Different styles. And then the last thing before we get out of here, because of the let me restart that. Because of the large guard rotation, the talented guard rotation, and the Celtics kind of no longer need for shooting because of Sam Hauser, do you think Pritchard's done? Like it's like he doesn't really have a place in the rotation anymore. They don't need an extra guard. Last year he got a lot of minutes because they needed the shooting, but now they have Sam Hauser who fits in a different role, a more needed role at the wing with that shooting. Brogdon shooting well. White's improved his shooting. it feels like he's just kind of not going to be able to get in the rotation here this year, which sucks for Pritchard, but I think it just is what it is.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, I guess, unless you're Pritchard, because he's a really talented
I was
player.
gonna
He's
say.
good. He has a spot in the league. He's not a bum. He doesn't deserve to have to go play in the G League or China or anywhere that's not the NBA. He's a good player. He's shown you he can be a good player. He played well in the playoffs for you when he played, for the most part. The problem is you're just so deep at the guard position. There really is no need for him. He's smaller than all the other guys. He doesn't play defense as well. And you're a team that's supposed to be built around defense. You haven't really been so far this season, but you need to be. The defense is a piece of your game that can improve, and he's not going to really do that for you. So it sucks because he's a younger player. He spent all 4 years at college, so he's older than you probably think if you don't know. And he's just sitting there watching, and he should be playing somewhere. So I don't know if they're going to trade him. We talked about this with the salary where it makes more sense if they sit on his deal for another season and then trade him because they can have more salary going out to bring in more salary. But for the human sake, as somebody that, he's trying to get a foot in the door in his profession and he's just sitting there, it sucks. I mean, the guy's a good player. He's talented. He can play. He should be playing somewhere. The only reason it's really a good idea to keep him around, and it might benefit them this year if they do wait until next season because of the money, is if somebody gets hurt, you have somebody that is reliable. I'd rather have him in there a million times over JD Davidson.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I agree with, and I think that's probably why kind of the handcuff in case they get hurt. And by the way, Pritchard 2 months older than Jayson Tatum for some context there, but it's tough, man. Don't need guards right now, and you don't need shooting either, which you could probably see him get out there if Hauser wasn't shooting well, because for that extra boost, even like in a 2-guard rotation or something. But with Hauser, there's just no real need, but it's tough. Anything else you want to talk about before we get on out of here?
You can talk about Grant Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Batman.
Mr. Batman up to the Celtics game against the Wizards. Full Batman costume. Did you see his post game too? He did post game.
Yeah.
In Batman. Jayson Tatum.
Tatum, not a fan.
What are you doing? But that was funny. I love Grant. It was good to have him back too after the suspension. He played pretty well. Both my pregame bets hit 2 threes for Grant, more than 7.5 points. Easy money for Grant Williams.
How many did Tatum end with? I don't think his hit. I don't think the over hit because they blew him out.
No, he only had 24 against Washington.
That's after tough. He had like
hot start too.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was like, oh boy, look at me. I was like, look at me, and there I was
slowed
wrong.
Down. Yeah, I think they didn't really need him because they kind of shut the Wizards down. But yeah, shout out Grant for Batman. That was a lead. There's not much else. There's no real story about it, but it was funny to see him pop up as Batman. Legend. He told me this summer. I talked to Grant for an interview at Heavy. He said his dad, I think it was, came up with the nickname, and then he kind of just started spreading it from there. So funny nickname for Grant Williams. But yeah, that's all I had on my sheet. I believe we got Brogdon, we got Pritchard and the Vonleh thing. We covered Smart a little bit too when we talked about 3-point shooting. But yeah, anything else you can think of?
No, this. I just personally think this is a big week for them. You're 4-2. Yeah. You should be one of the best teams in the conference. Milwaukee hasn't lost yet. You're behind Cleveland after losing to them.
Milwaukee's
not that the standings really matter at this point of the season, but you should really be challenging yourself to win these games. Obviously, they're not going out there trying to lose. It sounds dumb saying challenge yourself to win these games. But seriously, it shouldn't be just okay or just another game. If you're losing games, you shouldn't lose. I don't know if that's realistic for somebody that's their job and they're just kind of going to work. But like, I'm sorry, you shouldn't have lost to Chicago last week. You shouldn't. Cleveland's a good team, but under the circumstances, you shouldn't have lost. Those are 2 games you had in the bag. You should be 6-0, and you're not. You should go into both those games this week with a chip on your shoulder. Who they have Saturday, New York or Detroit?
Let's see, Celtics schedule. I think I have it open already. They have Cleveland, Chicago, New York, Memphis, Detroit.
Yeah, see, they better win that New York game. That's for sure.
Yeah, New York hasn't been bad this year, but not as good. So
yeah,
there you go. Yeah, I think that about covers it. Sorry for the early background malfunction we had. We had to change it midway through the story because we were still in the pregame background, but that's a good segue because you should check out the pregame show. We're live on How About Them Celtics YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, it's this channel, or Guy Boston Sports, or our Twitters, which is below our faces, or any of the social media platforms, Twitch, all that good stuff. 30 minutes before every Celtics game, so you can check that out. But I'll leave the rest of the promoting to Sam because I got in trouble last time when I took his job.
Well, you took it last time, and then it all screwed up, so it was a bad omen.
Okay,
But
well,
thank
blame your
you-
Wi-Fi for that, not me.
Oh, that was bad. and that didn't just stop there. The Wi-Fi was bad until yesterday.
Brutal. Like,
And I had to reset my little
days?
router in my room. I had to turn it
that's
off.
tough. That's
But
tough.
I just was resetting all the routers. There's an app for our Wi-Fi, and you just hit reset, and it does it. It takes.
It's
5
like when
minutes.
when the fire alarm accidentally goes off and you're trying to figure out which one it's coming from, so you have to go shut them all off. That happens in my house.
Yes and no. I don't know. It just the thing is so inconsistent, but it's fixed now. It's fine.
Good.
Thank goodness.
Glad we're back.
But yeah, thank you very much for listening or watching. If you're watching, you're on YouTube. Hopefully on the How About Them Celtics pod, right? That's our channel.
Woo!
We're growing. We're climbing
sir.
up the ranks of subs. And if you're not, you're on Guy Boston, which is fine. But make sure you subscribe to How About Them Celtics because that's where we're always at. You can also catch us doing the pre-games there. We enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Come hang out, chat with us. We love the chat. A lot of regulars in there. We always appreciate them. If you're on a regular streaming service, that's fine too. You didn't see, any of the background change or my green screen that disappeared because I moved it when I took a break. But make sure you follow us there. Leave a like or comment or review or whatever you do to say, hey, we like these guys. Do it. And if you're on Twitter, you can follow at How About Them C's or on Instagram or on TikTok.
Yep.
And if you want to follow Jack and get all his writing, all his work, at Jack Simone NBA, that's the place for it. He's always tweeting during the games. He needs an ice bath for the fingers. You can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA. I'll tweet slightly less than Jack, but I still do it. That's our show for today. Bye.
Tic-tac